Namaste dosto. Welcome back to the Kapeel Gupta Career PodShow, India's favorite podcast for young career aspirants who are hungry, driven, and yes, sometimes absolutely lost. And if you're listening to this right now, let me tell you one thing. You're already doing better than 90% of people who just think about improving their life but never actually press play. So give yourself a pat on the back. Such may. Today, we're going to talk about something that nobody really teaches you in school. Not your class teacher, not your coaching center tutor, and definitely not that one relative at every family gathering who keeps saying, Beta UPSC kar lo, sarkari naukri pakki ho jayegi. We're going to talk about the learning curve and more specifically, how it can become your secret weapon to finally achieve those big, bold, beautiful career goals you've been dreaming about. Buckle up because today's episode is not just Gyan, it's a full on story, a journey, and by the end of it, I promise you, you'll see your mistakes, your struggles, and your slow progress in a completely different light. Hi, I'm Kapeel Gupta, career coach, life mentor, and founder of Study Abroad Academy. I empower students, parents, and conscious professionals to design a fulfilling life and career by aligning their minds, values, and aspiration. I do it with coaching, mindset work, and the game changing power of graphotherapy because students deserve more than just guidance, they deserve transformation. So let's dive in. So let me tell you about a boy named Rohan. Rohan is a 21-year-old from Nagpur. Smart kid, good family, dreams bigger than the Mumbai skyline. He wanted to become a digital marketer and start his own agency by the time he was 25. He watched YouTube tutorials, he enrolled in online courses, he read blog posts at midnight. He was passionate, genuinely passionate. And then one day he got his first project. A small tea shop owner in his neighborhood asked him to run Facebook ads for 5,000 a month. Rohan was thrilled. This is it, he thought, and this is my start. He ran the ads, they flopped. Money wasted, the tea shop owner was unhappy. Rohan was embarrassed. He sat in his room, staring at the ceiling, thinking, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe I should just prepare for bank exams like everyone else. Does this sound familiar? Replace digital marketing with coding, CA exams, NEET preparation, MBA entrance, or any other goal, and suddenly Rohan's story becomes your story. Because almost every single one of us has been in that exact moment. That moment where we fail badly at something we truly care about, and our brain immediately says, give up. But here's the thing Rohan did not know at that time. He was not failing, he was learning. And there's a massive life changing difference between the two. Okay, so let us talk about this beautiful concept called the learning curve. Now, before your engineering brain switches off thinking this is some boring graph from an 11th standard economics textbook, relax. I'm not going to draw any graphs. I'm going to tell you what it actually means for your life and your career. See, the learning curve is essentially a cycle of growth that every single successful person has gone through. Think of it like this: you start from your comfort zone, that cozy, warm, familiar place where you know everything and nothing surprises you. But here's the problem with comfort zones: they're silent career killers. Let me repeat that. Comfort zones are silent career killers. According to a Harvard Business Review study, People who consistently challenge themselves outside their comfort zone are 40% more likely to achieve significant career growth than those who stay comfortable. 40% dosto. So you leave your comfort zone and you gain experience. You try something new. You start that YouTube channel. You apply for that internship. You begin learning that new programming language and then you learn. You consume knowledge. You listen to podcasts like this one. Smart move, by the way. Then comes the critical moment. You practice. And what happens when you practice? You make loads of mistakes. And here, right here, is where 80% of people quit. A study by Psychology Today found that approximately 92% of people give up on their goals before achieving them. 92%? That means only 8 out of every 100 people who start something actually finish it. Why? Because the moment mistakes happen, the brain sends out a panic signal, and most people listen to that panic signal instead of pushing through it. The learning circle tells us what to do at this exact moment. Instead of quitting, you reflect. You ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I do differently? You practice more. You make fewer mistakes. Your competence grows. Your confidence grows. And suddenly, what was once terrifying becomes your new comfort zone. And then the cycle starts again, bigger and better. So, this, my friends, is how every great career is built. Not in one glorious leap, but in a continuous, beautiful, sometimes painful circle of growth. So, let us go back to Rohan. Remember him? Sitting in his room in Nagpur, ceiling gazing, questioning his entire existence after his first failed ad campaign. Fortunately for Rohan, he did not quit. He did something that most people are too proud to do. He reflected. He went back to his analytics dashboard and actually studied what went wrong. He realized that his targeting was off. He had targeted everyone, which in the advertising world means you actually reach nobody effectively. He had not studied his audience. He had not tested his creatives. He had jumped from learn straight to overconfidence, skipping the deliberate practice phase entirely. So he went back to the drawing board. He watched more specific tutorials. He joined a digital marketing community online. He ran small test campaigns with just rupees 500 to understand what works. He made more mistakes, but smaller ones, then even smaller ones. Within 3 months, he ran another campaign for the same tea shop owner. This time, the shop saw a 35% increase in footfall. The owner was thrilled and Rohan was over the moon. But more importantly, Rohan had gone through his first complete learning curve. And once you complete one cycle, something magical happens. The next cycle becomes easier to begin. Your tolerance for mistakes increases. Your ability to reflect improves. Your speed of learning accelerates. In neuroscience, this is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself through repeated learning and practice. So, according to research published in Nature Reviews Neuroscience, the human brain can form a new neural pathways at any age, which means it's never too late to learn and it never gets permanently harder. It just requires consistent effort. So now here, I want to have a very honest, no filter conversation with you. Because I think there's some very specific reasons why Indian youth, despite being incredibly intelligent, hardworking, often get stuck at the give up or grow stage of the learning curve. First, the pressure of comparison. We live in a culture where your cousin's son has already cracked IIT. Your neighbor's daughter is working at Google in the US, and your Instagram feed is full of 22-year-olds who are apparently already millionaires. Social media has created what psychologists call social comparison theory on steroids. So when you see others at the top of their learning curve while you are still at the bottom of yours, it feels like you're failing. But you are not failing, you are just at a different stage. Second, the stigma around mistakes. In many Indian households, making a mistake is still considered shameful. You got a 60% in your exam? Family में बात हो जाएगी. You tried a business and it failed? बेटा ये सब छोड़ो, कुछ stable करो. This cultural conditioning makes us terrified of the very thing that the learning curve demands from us, the willingness to make mistakes and keep going. According to a survey by the Indian Institute of Psychometry, nearly 68% of Indian students reported that fear of failure was their biggest barrier to pursuing their dream career. 68%. That is more than two-thirds of our entire youth population being paralyzed by fear. And what is the antidote to fear of failure? Understanding that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a mandatory chapter in the story of success. And third, the obsession with shortcuts. एक रात में success चाहिए. Crash courses, jugaad hacks, get rich quick content. But the learning curve does not have a shortcut. However, and this is the beautiful paradox, the more fully you embrace the learning curve, the faster you actually progress. Because people who reflect properly make fewer repeated mistakes. People who practice deliberately improve at twice the speed of people who just blindly repeat the same approach. Let us get a little nerdy for a moment, but in a fun way, promise. There's actually beautiful science behind why the learning curve works. In 1885, a psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered what is now called the Ebbinghaus learning curve. He found that we learn fastest at the beginning of a new task. Then the pace of improvement slows down. But it never stops as long as we keep practicing. And this is why the first week of learning anything feels electric. And this is why the first week of learning anything feels electric. You go from knowing nothing to knowing something, and that progress is visible. But after that initial burst, improvement becomes more subtle, more internal, and most people mistake that subtlety for stagnation and quit. And then there is the concept of deliberate practice introduced by psychologist Anders Ericsson, the same research that inspired the famous 10,000 hours rules. Ericsson's research showed that expertise is not about natural talent. It's about the quality of practice. Deliberate practice means practicing with clear goals, immediate feedback, and constant reflection. Sound familiar? And that is literally what the learning circle diagram teaches. Practice, reflect, practice more. Ericsson's studies showed that musicians, athletes, doctors, and chess grandmasters all followed this exact cycle to reach the top of their fields. And here is one more fact that will genuinely blow your mind. According to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2023, 44% of workers' core skills will be disrupted in the next 5 years due to technological changes, and especially artificial intelligence. That means the ability to continuously learn, adapt, and go through multiple learning curves is no longer just a nice to have quality. It's the single most important career skill of the 21st century. The people who can embrace the learning curve repeatedly, quickly, and enthusiastically, they will be the ones who thrive. Everyone else will struggle to keep up. So let us check in with Rohan one final time. It has been 2 years since that first failed Facebook ad campaign. Today, Rohan runs a digital marketing agency with 4 clients. His monthly revenue is around 1.5 lakhs. He's 23 years old. He has not cracked UPSC. He has not joined a big MNC. He has not followed the safe path that everyone told him to. But he's doing exactly what he loves. He's growing every single month, and most importantly, he's not afraid of making mistakes anymore because he has been through the learning curve so many times that he now trusts the process completely. He once told me, and this gave me goosebumps when I heard it, भाई मुझे अब फेलियर से डर नहीं लगता. डर लगता है अगर मैं कुछ नया ट्राई ही ना करूं. Meaning, I'm not scared of failure anymore. I'm scared of never trying anything new. That right there is the mindset of someone who has truly internalized the learning curve. But Rohan is not special. He's not a genius. He did not have connections or a rich family backing him up. What he had was the courage to stay in the learning circle when everything in him wanted to run back to his comfort zone. And that one decision made repeatedly made all the difference. All right, let us get practical. Because I know you're the kind of person who does not just want inspiration, you want a plan. So here is how you personally apply the learning curve to your career goals starting from today itself. The first thing you need to do is choose one goal and leave your comfort zone deliberately. Not 10 goals, not a vague direction, one specific, meaningful goal. Write it down, put it on your wall, tell someone about it. Commitment makes the learning circle binding. Next, give yourself permission to be a beginner. This is harder than it sounds. Our ego hates being bad at something, and especially as we get older. But the learning curve does not care about your ego. It only responds to consistent action. So start, be bad at it. Be gloriously, embarrassingly bad at it because that is the only way to start getting good. And then build a reflection habit every week, not once a month, every single week. Sit down for 20 minutes and ask yourself 3 questions. What did I try this week? What went wrong and why? And what will I do differently next week? This weekly reflection is what separates people who spin their wheels from people who actually progress on the learning curve. According to a study by Harvard Business School professor Francisca Gino, people who spend 15 minutes at the end of each day reflecting on their work perform 23% better after just 10 days compared to those who did not reflect. And finally, and this is crucial, find your circle. Surround yourself with people who are also on their own learning curves, communities, mentors, podcasts, peer groups, and they all serve as mirrors that help you reflect better and motivate you to keep practicing. And as the saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. Choose those 5 people very wisely. So, dosto, let me leave you with this final thought. The learning circle, the one we talked about throughout this episode, it does not end. It's not a ladder you climb and then reach the top and retire. It's a circle, which means the greatest achievers in the world, the Elon Musk, the Ratan Tatas, the Faguni Nayars, they are all still somewhere on their learning curve. Still experiencing new things, still learning, still practicing, still making mistakes, still reflecting, still growing. The comfort zone you're trying to reach is not a final destination. It's just the launching pad for your next learning circle. And that is not exhausting. That is beautiful because it means growth never has to stop. Your potential never has a ceiling. Your career can keep evolving, expanding, and surprising you for as long as you choose to stay in the circle. Rohan chose to stay in the circle and it changed his life. Today, You have the same choice in front of you. Will you give up or will you grow? I think I already know your answer because you listened all the way to the end of this episode, and that tells me everything I need to know about you. Okay, this is the part of the episode where I need you to stop scrolling, stop multitasking, and pay full attention. What I am about to say is not just a suggestion, it's a challenge, a dare, a promise you need to make to yourself right now. So here is your challenge for this week. Pick up your phone right now. Yes, right now. Open your notes app. Write down the one career goal that you have been putting off because you're scared of failing at it. Just one. Write it down. Then below it, write the very first, smallest, most ridiculous tiny action you can take towards it in the next 24 hours. Not tomorrow, not next week, in the next 24 hours. And then do that one tiny thing. And here's the bigger dare. Share this episode with one person in your life who needs to hear this. One friend who has given up on a dream. One cousin who is paralyzed by fear of failure. One classmate who thinks they are not smart enough. Share it with them. Because sometimes the right information at the right time can completely change the direction of someone's life. Be that reason for someone today. So if this episode added any value to your life, even a little, please subscribe, leave a review, and follow the Kapeel Gupta Career PodShow on all platforms. Your support helps this show reach more young people across India who need exactly this kind of honest, practical, no nonsense career guidance. So until next time, keep learning, keep reflecting, keep practicing, and remember, the only real failure is the learning curve you refuse to enter. So I am your host, Kapeel Gupta, and you're listening to the Kapeel Gupta Career PodShow. Take care, stay hungry, and I'll see you in the next episode.